Imagine a disease that doesn't just kill you, it changes you first, makes you terrified of water, fills your mouth with foam you can't swallow, floods your mind with rage so intense you'll bite anything that moves. And through all of this, you're awake, conscious, watching yourself become something else. This isn't science fiction. A virus so perfectly engineered by evolution, it can hijack your brain's control systems and use your own behavior to spread itself. Once symptoms appear, there's no escape. It starts with broken skin. Virus-laden saliva enters muscle and subcutaneous tissue. The rabies virus is bullet-shaped, about 180 nanometers long, covered in glycoprotein spikes that will soon find their targets. It begins replicating in the muscle tissue at the bite site, but quietly. It doesn't trigger the immune alarm that normally brings defenses flooding to a wound. No inflammation, no rush of white blood cells, just silent multiplication. You might feel tingling or pain at the wound as the virus irritates local nerves, but most people dismiss it. The wound closes, skin heals over, you move on with your life. The virus doesn't move on, it's searching for nerve endings, preparing for the next stage of its journey into your body. The virus binds to receptors on nerve cells, specifically nicotinic acetylcholine receptors at neuromuscular junctions. Once attached, it invades the peripheral nerves. Now begins a slow, relentless journey using retrograde axonal transport. The virus hijacks the neuron's own transport proteins, motor proteins like dynin that normally carry substances toward the cell body. It moves along the axon like cargo on a conveyor belt. The pace is agonizingly slow, millimeters per hour. A bite on your hand might take months to reach your brain. A bite on your face or neck, only weeks. The distance matters because the virus must crawl the entire length, from peripheral nerve endings, through the spinal cord, all the way to the brain. During this entire incubation period, which can stretch weeks or even months depending on bite location, the virus is invisible to your immune system. It's hidden inside nerve cells where antibodies can't reach it, moving silently through neural pathways. You feel nothing, no symptoms, no fever, no warning that anything is wrong. The infection advances in complete stealth toward your central nervous system. When the virus reaches your brain and spinal cord, it should trigger a massive immune response. Neural tissue is supposed to be protected, surveilled constantly for threats, but rabies has evolved countermeasures. The virus replicates explosively in brain tissue, causing acute inflammation, rabies encephalitis, but it suppresses interferon production in neural cells. Interferons are the critical signaling molecules that normally alert the body to viral invasion and activate antiviral defenses. Without them, the immune system's early warning system fails. Glial cells, which coordinate immune responses in the central nervous system, don't mount the strong antiviral reaction they should. The virus also keeps neurons alive rather than killing them immediately. It needs them functioning as virus factories. Fewer dead cells means less inflammation, less cellular debris, less immune activation. By the time your adaptive immune system fully recognizes the threat, rabies has already spread throughout your brain. Patients often die with virus still present in neural tissue and little evidence their immune system managed to clear any of it. Now symptoms begin: fever, headache, anxiety, a vague sense that something is wrong, and then things get much worse. The virus attacks your brainstem, regions that control swallowing, breathing, and other involuntary functions. Damage to these neural circuits produces rabies' most notorious symptom. You attempt to drink water. Immediately, excruciating spasms seize your throat muscles. The contractions are violent, painful, terrifying. Even the sight of water or the sound of it being poured can trigger the spasms and waves of panic. This is hydrophobia. The term literally means fear of water. But it's not psychological fear. It's physical damage to the neural pathways controlling your swallowing reflex. Here's the diabolical part. Because you can't swallow, saliva pools in your mouth. You begin drooling. Foam forms at your lips, a mixture of saliva and air you can't clear. That saliva is packed with virus. The infection has spread from your brain back out through nerves to your salivary glands, where it replicates to extremely high concentrations. Your broken swallowing reflex ensures the virus-laden foam stays in your mouth, ready to infect the next victim through a bite. This isn't random pathology. Every symptom serves the virus's transmission strategy. About 80% of rabies patients develop what's called furious rabies. The virus causes extreme hyperaggression. You might lash out violently, try to bite others, attack inanimate objects without provocation. Infected dogs have been observed attacking anything in sight. Other animals, furniture, even shadows. Rabid wild animals lose their instinctive fear of humans and approach aggressively. You become hypersensitive to stimuli. Even a breeze across your face can trigger throat spasms, a phenomenon called aerophobia. Hallucinations flood your mind. Confusion and delirium intensify. You might not recognize familiar people or places, but here's what makes rabies especially cruel. You're still conscious. You're aware that something has taken control, that your own body is acting against your will. Between violent outbursts, there may be moments of exhaustion where you understand what's happening to you. Brief windows of clarity before the next wave of rage. The virus has turned you into exactly what it needs: a biting, drooling, aggressive host that will spread virus-laden saliva through attack. This behavioral manipulation has been refined over millennia of evolution. Every symptom, the inability to swallow, the hypersalivation, the aggression, maximizes the chances that rabies will find a new host before you die. Through the terror, the rage, the hallucinations, you remain awake. You experience your own neurological collapse in real time. The autonomic nervous system begins to fail. Your heartbeat becomes irregular. Blood pressure swings wildly, spiking high, then dropping low. Heavy sweating soaks through clothes. Your pupils dilate and won't respond normally to light. These are signs that the virus has damaged the brain regions controlling basic body functions. Between fits of agitation, exhaustion overtakes you. You might have brief moments where you're calm enough to speak, to recognize loved ones, to understand the horror of what's happening. Then another wave hits, more spasms, more rage, more terror. Paralysis eventually sets in as neurons die or stop functioning. Even patients who initially presented with furious rabies succumb to weakness. Muscles that were thrashing and convulsing go still. You can no longer move your limbs, can't lift your head. Within 2 to 10 days of symptom onset, you slip into coma. Respiratory failure follows as the brain can no longer regulate breathing, or cardiac arrhythmia stops your heart. Death comes within days. The case fatality rate once symptoms appear, effectively 100%. Only a handful of people in all of human history have survived symptomatic rabies, usually with experimental treatments, massive medical intervention, and often with severe, permanent brain damage. There is no reliable cure. Once the virus has invaded your central nervous system and symptoms have begun, medicine has almost nothing to offer except comfort care. But rewind to right after the bite. Wash the wound thoroughly with soap and water for at least 15 minutes, physically removing and killing virus particles at the entry site. Then get to a clinic immediately. Post-exposure prophylaxis, immune globulin injected around the wound, plus a series of rabies vaccine shots is virtually 100% effective if given before symptoms start. The virus's slow journey through nerves gives treatment time to build immunity before rabies reaches the brain. Your immune system can win this race if you start it early enough. This breakthrough came in 1885. Louis Pasteur had developed a rabies vaccine, but it was untested in humans. When 9-year-old Joseph Meister was brought to him, severely bitten by a rabid dog, facing certain death, Pasteur made a desperate decision. He administered the vaccine. The boy survived. He was the first known human to be saved after rabies exposure, proving that post-exposure vaccination could work. The concept changed medicine. Since then, dog vaccination programs have eliminated rabies in much of the developed world. The United States sees fewer than 3 human cases per year. Canine rabies virus variants have been eradicated from the US and much of Europe through mandatory pet vaccination and animal control measures. But globally, the disease still kills. Rabies causes an estimated 59,000 human deaths every year worldwide. 95% of those deaths occur in Asia and Africa, where dog-to-human transmission remains common. Infected dogs are responsible for 99% of human rabies cases globally. 40% of victims are children under 15 years old, often bitten while playing, often in rural areas where dogs roam freely. Many of these deaths are preventable. Post-exposure prophylaxis exists. The vaccines work, but access is the barrier. In low-income countries, the full PEP regimen can cost more than many families earn in weeks. Clinics may be hours away. Victims, especially children, might not report minor bites, not understanding the risk. Vaccine shortages occur. Rabies immune globulin, critical for people never vaccinated before, can be unavailable or prohibitively expensive. The World Health Organization leads a 0 by 30 initiative aimed at eliminating dog-mediated human rabies by 2030. The strategy combines mass dog vaccination drives to stop transmission at its source, community education so people know to seek treatment after bites, training healthcare workers to properly administer PEP, and making vaccines and immunoglobulin affordable and available even in remote areas. Some countries have made dramatic progress through coordinated campaigns, but tens of thousands still die each year. For millennia before we understood it, rabies terrified humanity. Ancient texts from the 4th century BCE describe the fatal madness that followed a mad dog's bite. The disease was commonly called hydrophobia throughout history, referencing the terror of water that marked its victims. The word rabies itself comes from Latin rabere, meaning to rage. Some historians and medical scholars have theorized that rabies outbreaks may have partly inspired werewolf and vampire legends. The reasoning is compelling. Rabies spreads through bites, just like the creatures in folklore. Infected people and animals display aggression and bite without provocation. Rabid animals sometimes wander at night, disoriented. The hydrophobia, aversion to water, echoes vampire myths about holy water. Victims were often described in historical accounts as becoming ferocious as wolves or losing their humanity. Whether or not folklore was actually influenced by rabies, the disease certainly blurred the line between human and animal in the public imagination. Even today, we use rabid to describe extreme, irrational fury, a direct linguistic legacy of how the disease was perceived for thousands of years. We have the knowledge to end this. We understand the virus's structure, its transmission route, its vulnerabilities. We have vaccines that work in animals and humans. We have post-exposure treatment that's virtually foolproof if given in time. Dog vaccination can eliminate the disease at its source. The tragedy is that we know exactly how to prevent rabies, yet it still kills tens of thousands every year, disproportionately the poor, the rural, the young. We've nearly eradicated one of evolution's most perfectly adapted killers. The gap between what's possible and what's happening is the distance between a child who can reach a clinic in time and one who can't. If you're still here, thank you for being part of this journey. Subscribe to stay tuned for what's next.